Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to be brutally honest about something. Star Wars The Last Jedi does not look like it's going to be that good. I won't go as far as to say that it's going to be terrible, but based on everything that I've seen and heard and read about it so far, I just have the proverbial bad feeling about this movie. And I just feel like we're in for more of the same. I feel like this is going to be The Force Awakens all over again, in the sense that we're going to get the same story from a previous set of movies in the franchise, only tweaked around a little bit here and there, change up the names and the characters, and then here we go with a cleverly packaged reboot masquerading as a sequel. It's all the same, like the song says, only the names have changed. And I just really don't see how this could be anything other than that. Because if you look at the history that we've experienced since Disney bought the Star Wars franchise, it seems like they've been taking a lot of ideas that were done before, Admiral Thrawn and Darth Bane and some of the other things, and they're just repackaging them to make them fit into the timeline that we once knew a certain way differently. And with The Last Jedi, I feel like this is just going to be The Empire Strikes Back, the remix. Starships in this movie will be the same, but different, just bigger and better. Just like Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens was compared to the previous two Death Stars. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if Rey carries Luke on her back for a while, a la The Empire Strikes Back once again with Luke and Yoda. Even Luke's line at the end of the first trailer, when he says it's time for the Jedi to end. And I'm thinking, I thought the Jedi did end. Twice. I mean, I just feel like it's going to be a matter of, okay, how many similarities can we pick out this time? And that's kind of sad, actually. There are a couple of things that I am intrigued about, though. For one thing, the director of the film, Rian Johnson, from what I understand, sounds like he is a fan of the prequels. So it sounds like he might give them some of the respect that they rightfully deserve, for once, in this case. On the note of the prequels, after seeing the trailer that everybody waited eagerly to see, when Rey at the end says, "I need someone to show me my place in all this," I crossed my fingers and said, "Anakin." And then they showed it was Kylo Ren. I'm like, okay. Which brings me to another reason why I fear for this movie's output that it's going to give us here. I fear, and I've been saying this since after The Force Awakens, that Rey and Kylo Ren are just Jaina and Jason Solo all over again. I am certain that they are going to be revealed to be brother and sister. Maybe not twins, but they are going to be revealed to be related. It just seems like that's where it's going, and frankly, this is the second film in this trilogy, so there's always some kind of a reveal, if history is any guide, in the second film of a Star Wars trilogy. Empire Strikes Back, obviously, it was I Am Your Father, and in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, it was I was Qui-Gon Jinn's master. So in this one, unfortunately, I fear that the predictable will happen, and then we'll get Kylo Ren dropping in I Am Your Brother on Rey. Think about something too. Initially, I read that when Rey's name was being considered before The Force Awakens was put into production, they were throwing out names, and originally I understand her name was going to be like Kira Rey. So think about it. Kylo Ren, Kira Rey. Sounds like the kind of names you would give to twins or siblings of some kind, especially twins. Well, you know, like Ron and Don, Timmy and Tommy, Kira Rey, Kylo Ren. Think about it. However, there is one thing that I'm hoping that this movie does, that if it does do this, I dare say is going to make me change my tune on how I've been viewing these new movies so far. And that is for Rey to turn to the dark side. That's right. I want to see Rey turn to the dark side, and I'll tell you why. Because after we saw how Galen Marek-like her powers were in The Force Awakens, it left you with the feeling of, oh wow, look at how extremely powerful she is. It's a good thing she's on our side, right? Only for us to have the boom lowered on us in this next movie. That would be a great way of making us feel like, uh-oh, now what do we do? And plus, it'll be something different, too. It's going to be taking the obvious route of, oh, Rey's going to stay true blue all the way, and she's going to resist everything like it's a piece of cake, and there's your story. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that they take in that direction, because that would be very interesting. That was one of the problems I had with The Force Awakens. There wasn't enough risk being taken. I mean, obviously it's been discussed why that wasn't the case, because it served as a sort of way of bringing back the people who were disenchanted by the prequels and loved the original trilogy so much. But a lot of people, including myself, feel that maybe some risks should have been taken, like Starkiller Base. They could have had the attack on Starkiller Base fail, and Starkiller Base would not be blown up, so that we would think, oh man, after 3 attempts, the Empire/First Order finally got it right. They finally figured out, okay, the first Death Star, second Death Star, they may have beaten us those times, but the third time's a charm for us. They're not getting us this time. And then we would start to fear, like, uh-oh, they mean business now. Now what do we do? You know, the old tactics ain't going to work no more. So it would still be like old and new. Yeah, we'd have some of the familiar themes, but they would change it up just enough so that it's its own story. It's its own thing. And when Rogue One was made, it seemed like it kind of retroactively made that seem silly, because in Rogue One we find out that the flaw in the original Death Star was deliberately placed in there, which I never knew was a plot hole. A lot of people thought was a plot hole. I always figured it made sense. I figured it was just the Empire's arrogance in saying, oh, there's no weakness. There's no weakness in Death Star, and if there is, the rebels will never figure it out. I didn't think it had anything to do with somebody had to put it in there to sabotage the Death Star. So, alright, whatever. If that's how you want to go with it, fine. But it kind of makes it seem silly that in The Force Awakens, Starkiller Base suffers the same fate, and now that we know what we know about Rogue One. But another thing that I would like to see happen, Rey go to the dark side, and whether it's in this movie or the next one, Kylo Ren bends Solo to turn to the light. Yes, I want to see that. I want to see what wrestling calls a double turn happen in Star Wars. Can you imagine the extremely overpowered Rey and the tormented soul Kylo Ren? They start off as Rey the good guy, Kylo Ren the villain, but then by either this movie's end or the next movie, they completely switch around. Oh, now that would be compelling. That, to me, would be the best double turn since Bret Hart and Steve Austin. But I fear that this is not what's going to happen, because Disney has made it abundantly clear that they are going to push their female protagonists to the moon as much as possible. I mean, welcome to Star Wars under Disney, where every new protagonist is either female, non-Caucasian, or non-Caucasian female. And they're not going to let them get too close to being defeated. They're not going to put them in any kind of danger. And it's just going to be no surprises. And especially with what we've seen with all the ways that they've been conducting business with Star Wars. Like, obviously in Force Awakens it was Rey. In Rogue One there was Jyn Erso. And most recently in Battlefront II, there was Iden Versio, is that how you pronounce her name? Iden Versio from Inferno Squad, which I won't reveal the spoilers for that game, but if you haven't played through it already, but let's just say the way it goes is kind of like, I don't know. But, I mean, you decide what you think on it, but that's what I thought. But the point being, they're always going to be female protagonists. For bonus points, they can make them non-Caucasian female, or, you know, have the other protagonists be non-Caucasian, like Finn or Poe Dameron. And I feel like for that reason alone, Disney is not going to allow us to have a female antagonist. You could argue that they did that most recently with Thor Ragnarok, but even so, she was made to look very strong, and it was only, well, I won't say how things went, but for those of you who've seen the movie, the way things went with her, yeah. I'm sounding like Ultron now. But anyway, I fear that that's the Star Wars movie that we're going to get. More of the same, just repackaged with different names, and, I mean, you get walkers again. You got what looks like a snow planet again. I also think that Rey is going to possibly lose a hand in this one, because it just would not be a second installment of a Star Wars trilogy if our main character didn't lose a limb of some kind. I jokingly said in a comment that I left on an update for when the new walkers were first announced, that I guess all we need now is for a new snowspeeder on steroids, maybe call it the Frost Fighter, as well as a new city in the clouds, perhaps, and for Kylo Ren, like I said, to drop an "I am your brother" on Rey, but not before cutting her hand off, and not before Rey has a vision of her decapitating Kylo Ren. I just feel like it's that's the direction it's going in. I also think that the way that it's been going since we lost Han Solo in the last movie, in Force Awakens, I fear that in this one, either Princess Leia or Luke Skywalker will be meeting their fate next. Definitely no later than Episode 9 will Luke meet his. I guess this would be Leia's last stand one way or the other. I guess it just remains to be seen if they're going to write her off, if they're going to write her out, or if they'll find some other way to do it. Is Kylo Ren going to blow her away? Is she just going to retire? What are they going to do with it? And let me just say that I have no knowledge of the script. I have not read the script, or I've not seen any pre-screenings of the movie. I'm just going by what I have seen and heard and read, and my own experiences with the Star Wars saga thus far, since it's been under Disney, and even before then, when George Lucas still had the rights. I mean, I don't know. This just... It's not looking like it's going to be anything really special. I'm going to see it anyway, for sure. But, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope I come out of the theater saying, okay, now that was a real big step in the right direction. I mean, yeah, it's going to make a lot of money anyway, regardless if it's good, bad, or ugly. But that's just where I'm coming from. And I wonder if any of you feel the same way. Let me know if you do. Let me know if you don't. And we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm definitely going to see this one way or the other. The Han Solo movie next year, I don't know. For the first time in my life, I can honestly say that I am on the fence about seeing a Star Wars movie. I mean, I love Ron Howard as much as I love his work. I don't know, I just feel like some things, I just feel like certain characters we should not know too much about. Han Solo is one of those characters. I feel like the less we know about him, the more intriguing of a character he is. So... in any case, what do you think about it? Do you think Last Jedi is going to be great? Do you feel the same way I do? Right away in the comments. Post a video response. Do whatever you want to. Just let me know your thoughts, alright? So, yes, I can tell you this much. I am definitely going to see the movie, and you can bet that I will definitely have something to say about it afterward. I'm just hoping that it will not be, "I told you so."